Today on DNVR Buffs Live, are the Buffs a CFP dark horse? One national writer thinks so, and maybe a couple guys on this set as well. And also our takeaways from the first week of spring ball. Happy Friday, y'all. Let's get it.
I'm definitely going to get
There's a joke in there somewhere. Bob Nation.
Let's go.
Squad, let me tell y'all a little something
This is crazy.
about y'all boy, RK.
Hold on, we're live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your front range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR.
Cornholy asked Jake if he listened to the Cardi album, LOL.
Hell no.
Well, I did, actually. Jake says,
No.
hell no. I asked RK, he goes, I didn't listen to her old stuff. And I laugh, and I'm like, wait, her? He's like, yeah, Cardi B, right? No, bro.
To be fair, both names were incomplete.
What you mean?
Like
True,
if you were saying
true.
Cardi,
Yeah, fair
you
enough.
could have been talking about
That's
Playboy
a 50-50
Cardi. You could have
at
been
that
talking
point.
about Cardi B.
But it was
The
spelled.
spelling
And then you were
is
like,
where
wait,
I
how do you-
aired.
So it's safe to say y'all not listening to the new Playboy Cardi today or this weekend at some point?
No, I'm skipping on that, bro.
I wouldn't say I'm against it.
Okay.
I just wouldn't say it's on my schedule.
Top of the list.
The
Fair
only
enough.
reason I knew this thing existed was because of Twitter going crazy last night.
Twitter has been going crazy last night and this morning about the new Cardi. Because it's been a while, he's like one of those
Is it fire?
I haven't listened to it.
Okay.
He is like one of those very polarizing artists. Like one of those artists where like you either really rock with him or you really dislike everything about him, including his music. So I feel like it's part of the reason why his new drop is kind of taking social media.
Can I get a
by
comp?
storm?
Player comp?
Sports?
No, another
artist comp.
Artist. Because I'm sure I've heard something, but I can't place it.
Oh, okay. So okay. Yeah, he's like, he gets compared to Uzi quite a bit.
Okay.
Okay.
He gets compared to Uzi quite a bit.
I can work with that.
So it's and they obviously they used to make a lot of music together, but it's kind of like that vibe, if you feel what I'm saying.
You know what? I'll listen to it on the way home.
Oh, okay.
I only have time for about 1.5 songs.
In the Toyota.
Gotta hook me.
Say less.
No, I need Scotty to take the first listen, and then from there on, you can tell me if it's worth it.
I got y'all.
All right.
I'll let y'all know this weekend at some point if y'all should tap in or not, and what to tap into specifically.
It's like when I went to that Super Bowl party. I was like, I'll let you guys know how it is.
Today on the show, the portal is, there's actually been some portal entries. Portal might be heating up a bit.
Borderland.
Field Yates projected top 10 for the 2025 NFL Draft. CU is going to take over next week's Big 12 Pro Day. We'll talk about all the players going to there. Spring football storylines, but we start today. We mentioned this with Unk on Wednesday. Basically, the last thing we asked him, just talking about the standard for 2025, and he brought it up too. Getting Peggy to a bowl game was last year's goal, right? They succeeded.
Yeah.
This year, I mean, obviously, you got to take it another step higher.
Yeah.
And it feels like the college football playoff is really the standard for this season. You win the Big 12, obviously, you get in. And again, we mentioned this on Wednesday, but Adam Rittenberg from ESPN, he wrote this article. Who's the next Indiana, basically? He's got a list of teams poised to break through to the CFP. And with Indiana in mind, there are some guidelines for this because they were like a non-traditional CFP selection last year, right? And this is going to happen in the 12-team playoff. Basically, what he was looking for to fit this criteria to be the next Indiana: no CFP appearances, no conference titles in the past 10 years, and a winning percentage below .550 during the 4-team CFP era from 2014 to 2023.
This is really not a list that you want to be on.
No, but a lot of these teams are they're knocking on the door, as is Colorado.
Yeah.
He throws in Illinois. They went 10-3 last year.
Who's been good under Bielema.
They have been. Texas Tech, who obviously spent, tens of millions of dollars in the transfer portal.
Good oil money.
Yeah.
By the way, Texas Tech will never make a college football playoff.
We'll get into it. Georgia Tech's on here. The team that Colorado plays week 1.
Yeah.
They took Georgia down to the wire in the last week of the season last year, lost in overtime. South Carolina, who
Lost in what, 7th overtime? Something crazy like that?
it's just a stupid overtime rule.
It
though.
is.
South Carolina, they were knocking on the door. They got off to a bad start last year, but finished strong, ended up going 9-4. And then Iowa State, another team on Colorado's schedule, who many people thought were going to win the Big 12 in October last year, and they kind of fell apart. Colorado, of course, is on here, and then they throw North Carolina, the Tar Heels of Bill Belichick.
That
Kind of a lazy inclusion.
It kind of sounded like a shot when you were like, people thought in October Iowa State was going to win the conference.
They were the favorite then, though.
They also made the championship.
They did, yes.
Facts. No, I just found that funny. But I think you can really see the case for all those teams, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Except North Carolina. Or Texas Tech.
North
Like I
Carolina is
said,
definitely the lowest, I think.
You can see the case for each of those teams potentially sneaking into the CFP. Because, again, talking specifically about Colorado, I feel like this program, this kind of new group has gone about it the right way. I think about Caden Salter's kind of first interview that he did with a news station down in Texas. And he said the goal is a Big 12 championship. And that is a sentiment that's been echoed throughout players and coaches, throughout since the new year. And that's how you get to the college football playoff. And obviously, we think there's a chance that this team could have arguably the most dynamic, maybe the best quarterback in the conference at season's end, potentially the best defense, in the conference as well. And again, if those things happen and you win a conference, you're going to get to the CFP. And I think because a Big 12 championship is on the table, this CFP, them being a dark horse for this CFP, you cannot rule it out, especially because of the talent, the depth, the experience that this roster has added. It's definitely on the table, and I think it's again, that's a good group of teams to be included in that Rittenberg wrote about there.
It is a good list by Rittenberg. I got to give him that.
Yeah.
And what the best part about the 12-team playoff, and there was a lot of complaints, I think, about the 12-team playoff once it actually got to it. But by far the best part about it is that teams like the ones that are on this list actually are a great season away from making it. And to me, that's what is so special about this. There's always going to be an Indiana or someone of that ilk that can come in and have a special season and get rewarded for it in a way that you just never could before.
Yeah.
Like Colorado for the last 2 really good seasons they've had ends in an Alamo Bowl. And win or lose, it's just not that cool. I love the Alamo Bowl, by the way, but it's just not. It doesn't have aura like a college football playoff appearance. And even if you go to the college football playoff and you get blown out, like I think Indiana did, you still got to say you went to the college football playoff.
Yep.
And that's what I love about the 12-team playoff, and it's going to be really cool for any of these teams other than Texas Tech or North Carolina to have a chance to do that.
No, definitely. And it's interesting too that it's damn near majority of this list is the Big 12. And then if you're looking at it from Colorado's perspective,
Yes.
you play 3 of these teams on this list. So that not only is it clear, win the Big 12 and you
Right.
get in, beat these teams and you literally kind of move up a tier.
I think that's part of the map too with those 3 Big 12 teams in there. This
Right.
is a wide open conference.
Yes.
The very wide open conference. Like Arizona State just won it last year, and I don't think there are probably a lot of people out there outside of Arizona State and Tempe. Outside of Tempe who think that Arizona State's going to repeat as the Big 12 champion. So this is a wide open conference with, again, 3 or 4 teams that I think have a legitimate chance of being the last man standing in that conference. So, and I also found it was interesting that the names that Rittenberg mentioned in terms of the transfer additions to Colorado. Obviously, he mentioned Jaheim Otis, who we know ESPN loves.
They always do.
But he also mentioned Tavian Coleman. I think that's probably the first mention on a national site that I've heard of him, which is dope. Obviously, we know he can play. He's been really productive over the last 3 seasons at Texas State, including 2022 at Utah State. He also mentioned Joseph Williams, who I'm very high on right now.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's going to be a dog and be a real problem for defenses here in 2025. And also the Shark 2.0. He mentions Tawfiq Bayard as well. So
I thought you were saying he wrote Shark 2.0.
that would be crazy.
I was like, this guy knows too much ball.
For real.
No, shout out to Rittenberg, though. He actually goes to Boulder and covers this team.
For sure.
Yeah.
And just that blurb shows, more than about 97% of national analysts what
Facts.
they know about this team.
For sure. So, yeah, we'll see. Georgia Tech being on this list is interesting, too. I mean, we've talked about how that game at the beginning of the year is already going to be a pretty big test. But it might be even a bigger test. There's a good chance this could be the best team Colorado plays this next season.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I don't love it.
No, but it's at home.
I will say home game week 1, shit is going to get weird.
Yep. And a lot of these games are at home. I think they get Iowa State at home, who's also on this list this season. They get, obviously, Arizona State's coming to town this year. I don't know if Texas Tech's on the schedule, but BYU, not on this list.
not.
But in terms of Big 12 contenders, they get them at home. You got to go to K-State. But a lot of the big games on your schedule this upcoming season are at Folsom Field, which is a massive advantage, obviously.
For sure. And week 1 games are just always wacky. I mean, Georgia Tech, beat Florida State in a wacky game in week 0, I guess
Right.
it was last
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
But it's why I used to always say, like, I'm down to keep the Rocky Mountain Showdown not in week 1. There's just a rivalry game in week 1 is just too wild.
Yep.
And, you watch what happened this year. Like, by the time they got to Fort Collins in week 3, they kind of had their feet under them.
Right, exactly.
And not to get too deep into Georgia Tech scouting report for week 1, but I'm just kind of reading through Rittenberg's kind of blurb on Georgia Tech, and there's some interesting stuff here. Obviously, we know they returned Haynes King, who's back for his 3rd season as Georgia Tech starter. I didn't realize he completed 73% of his passes last year. That's
played
pretty
well,
impressive for a guy who is kind of really known more as a dual threat. He's going to be, they're returning their starting running back, Jamal Haynes. They got several incoming transfer wideouts, but the thing that kind of stands out to me is their offensive line, which is kind of their strongest unit. According to Rittenberg, at least, they lose several key players on that offensive line. So that is an opportunity for this Colorado defensive line, which we expect to be dominant again in 2025, to kind of make their presence felt right away in week 1 against Georgia Tech. So that'll be interesting. Georgia Tech's defense isn't, at least last year, wasn't very strong either. 24 passing touchdowns they allowed. They only had 5 picks, so they weren't really generating a bunch of turnovers defensively. So there are going to be chances for Colorado to exploit this matchup in week 1.
Definitely, and they run a great running team last year. Looking at the season averages, I mean, they're 105th in the nation in rushing yards per game. So, you match up strength for strength with Colorado's defensive line, who I think we're all pretty high on right now, and we'll get to storylines in the next segment. And I think I might be higher than most on that defensive line right now as well.
doubt.
But it's just a nice matchup, just looking at a few months ahead at this point. But, I mean, get used to it. Colorado's like in this discussion right now for being a CFP dark horse, and it's only going to heat up, I think, as we go through the offseason here.
Isn't it crazy how Shedeur and Travis leave, and for some reason it feels like people are now willing to give Colorado more credit?
It is. But
something.
It's also legitimate because I think and I was going to talk about this next segment, even with losing Shedeur and Travis, I think the team is better top to bottom than it was last year.
At least the average, like the median, is better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's worth a lot. And it's going to show. I mean, always comes back to the golf ball theory.
Yeah.
Yep.
Every time Coach Prime has had an opportunity to improve the roster, he has.
For sure.
And now he's getting to a point where it's really just tinkering.
And I think Unc we talked about it with Unc the other day too, and he was like, with last year's team, like, you felt really good about the starters. But after that, you had some worries in terms of the too deep, the guys who had to kind of come in and kind of supplant some of the starters. That's not really the case, or at least for most of the positions as we sit here at this roster and look at this roster here at this point. So the depth, and again, that's kind of been the consensus that this team might actually be just better overall from an overall team perspective than last year. We've heard Coach Prime literally tell his team that earlier this week.
Yeah.
So that's something that they believe in that building, and we're going to see the results of that here soon enough.
Haynes King's last trip to Colorado, 1 for 2 for 8 yards, and then he got injured.
Is that the
Probably doesn't have fond memories.
A&M game?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, he got hurt early in that one, right?
he did. And Zach Calzada came in
That's
for him.
right.
And they were handing the ball off to CJ Spiller, or no,
Isaiah Spiller.
Isaiah Spiller
He was
and
nasty at
he
A&M.
was.
A-Chain.
Yep.
Yeah, facts.
Or A-Chain.
Yep.
Chan.
And somehow we held him 10 points. Shout out Nate
Should have
Landman.
won that game, bro. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah. You should win any game you hold the opponent to 10 points.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, the forward pass was not a strength of ours that year.
No.
Hey, week 1, again, this is going to be another test for this defense in terms of a running quarterback.
Yes.
Haynes King can light it up with his legs if you
Yes.
allow him.
Guess how many passing yards Colorado had in that game?
42.
70?
I can't believe you guys both went under. It was 89. 89, 0 touchdowns and an interception.
Yuck.
Yeah. I remember this was obviously when Henry was on the beat.
Mm-hmm.
But I wrote a film room on that game, and I was like, yeah, there's literally nothing here on offense. It's just all defense.
Yeah, there was sick defenders.
Yeah, there were.
Nate Landman, Christian Gonzalez.
Yep.
Wow.
Mekhi Blackman.
Mekhi Blackman.
Yep, they were making plays.
That's crazy. Haynes King last year, he had 107 rushing yards against North Carolina, 93 and a touchdown against Miami, 110 and 3 touchdowns against Georgia.
Yeah, no, they should have won that game.
He threw for 300 that game, too.
They should have won that game.
Yeah, he went crazy in that game.
Sheesh.
All right, let's take our first break. At some point. Hit the like button, chat. Also, drop your questions for the end of the show.
I'm taking a break.
Shout out to our friends, new partner alert. Shout out Monarch Money.
Let's go.
You guys like saving money? Do you like money in general?
Period. You know that. For
Big
sure
fan.
that.
Well, maybe you should hit up our friends at Monarch Money. Sign up, download the app. Basically what it does, everything you spend money on, your accounts, credit cards, all that, subscriptions, puts it all into one place. Makes it super easy to manage. You can see, what subscriptions you're not really using in there that are taking money out of your account. All that good stuff. It's just a nice budgeting tool, really. It's named the Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025, and it's the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 5-star reviews. So go on over and check them out. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code DNVR at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code DNVR.
Do you like feeling good?
Yes.
Love that.
You should check out our friends over at Timeline then. They are selling health and longevity supplements featuring their proprietary MitoPure ingredient. MitoPure works with the cells in your body to help reverse age-related decline. You'll get increased strength, increased energy, increased endurance. And they've been working on this stuff for over 15 years to perfect what they have going on over at Timeline. So if you're interested in trying some of their supplements and feeling better, getting more energy, and trying to reverse aging, which is unfortunately something that we're all trying to do once you get to a certain age, you can go over to timeline.com/DNVR today to get started. It's timeline.com/DNVR to get 10% off MitoPure.
Hey, was Gonzo really like that at CU? Like, y'all knew
yeah.
he was going to be
Yes.
like NFL player when he
No,
was
I've got a
here?
tweet from 2021.
Yeah.
Probably after that A&M game where I was like, this guy's a first-round pick.
That's crazy. I never heard of him until he got to Oregon, but
Yeah. No,
That's
he was
crazy.
like that.
That's probably why I went to Oregon.
probably.
Yeah, no, he was nasty.
yeah. It's a
And I
dog.
mean, they were just playing like cover one hole every play of
Yep.
that game.
I mean, they could afford to. They had such good defensive backs, and you had Landman patrolling the middle.
Yep.
Damn. All right. Top stories of the first week of spring ball. Who wants to go first? What has stood out to you from all you've seen in terms of highlights, well off, all that stuff, press conferences?
Go
I
ahead.
can go first.
freshman.
Okay, thank you.
Freshman. And obviously, Julian Lewis probably leads that camp, right? Because he's going to be very much entrenched in this quarterback battle that will probably go right up until week 1, obviously with Caden Salter. And all indications, obviously, early on is that Julian is exactly who we thought he would be, as obviously a player and just a young leader on that team as well. He seems to be gelling with the guys very quickly and whatnot. But really the freshman that I have my eye on out the gate is the 2 on the other side of the ball. Alexander McPherson, London Merritt, the IMG Academy guys coming in to Colorado. And with 2 of the edge guys who this team expects to count on this year, in Keaton Wade and Samuel Okunlola, kind of on the shelf right now with some injuries, those 2 freshmen, McPherson and Merritt, are getting some really valuable reps right now and some real valuable looks. And that could be something that could really help this defense out. Because, again, we talked about a little bit yesterday, the edge room is a bit thin. There's a ton of talent in that room, but it's just a bit thin in terms of bodies. And I think that could result in Alexander McPherson, who you see right here on the screen, getting some wisdom, some guidance from Coach Hilo. I think him and London Merritt as well can really be a problem this year as true freshmen, and that'd be scary to think about. Shout out Coach Hilo, man.
Shout out Coach Hilo for sure.
You can go next as long as you don't take any quarterback opinions.
No, I'm not taking quarterback. I'm sticking with the defensive line here. And, I wrote that article yesterday off of, what Pecco and Hilo were saying at the press conference. And the quote that stood out to me that maybe hit me harder last night, just going back and looking, than it did yesterday, was Coach Pecco talking about how he has so many seniors. And he actually undersold it. He said they have 5 to 6 seniors, and he might have just been talking about interior defensive line.
Right.
If you factor in the ends and the interior on the defensive line, there's 8 of them. 8 guys. And we talked about last year, how it's Shador's senior year, how this is all, and this is a point we made earlier in the week, but how it's just one of those years where it's just, you just know the offense is going to be good because you have this senior quarterback, you have all these senior wide receivers. I'm starting to feel that way about the defensive line. And, we talked about it with Torian Carter, how he's a grown man. Gunner mentioned it yesterday, Coach Gunner, about the offensive line, about Mana Taimani.
Yeah.
All these guys are grown men on the defensive line, man.
Yeah.
Like, you go against a young offensive line, I don't know which team, but someone in the Big 12 at some point, you're just going to see this team manhandle opposing teams because of the experience, the strength that they just naturally have from being older than whoever they're lining up against. So that really stood out to me.
I love it. I love both of those. For me, I'm going to stick with the quarterbacks because it's the thing I'm most interested in. And what has stood out to me is 2 things. One, obviously we're seeing very curated views of practice.
Right.
But Caden Salter's throwing motion looks pretty darn clean. And in the clips that I've seen, he's looked pretty darn accurate, which is really good sign.
Yeah.
A really good sign 100%. For him. And there's definitely something to work with there for Pat Shurmur to try and help him become a better pure passer of the football.
Hell yeah.
And I like what I saw there. The other thing is that the way that thing is popping off of Julian's hand
Dotting them
is crazy. And if you remember, the last couple times that we got to see Julian Lewis, he was playing with a broken hand.
Yes.
And that can sometimes taint how you feel about the way that he's throwing the football. Now, seeing these first couple days of practice and the way that it's just flying off of his hand is really exciting, given the fact that he's still a 17-year-old true freshman who's been in the strength and conditioning program for a month.
Yep.
Yeah. No doubt about it. It's gonna be fascinating. I mean, can we go another round?
Quickly, yes.
Quickly. Hey, bro, rushing me down. My fault. No, you're right. Just Marshall Faulk too,
Yep.
and what he could potentially do for this running back room. That has to be one of the biggest stories for this team this year. Can they develop a running game? Because again, 2.5 yards per attempt is not going to cut it again. The dead last rushing attack in the conference is not going to cut it again. I'm really just excited to see who Coach Faulk is going to be able to unlock and what skills he's going to be able to unlock in these guys. Again, it's just going to be fascinating because I want to see. I asked him yesterday, what's it going to take? Is it going to be more of a committee approach? Is it going to be more of a you want somebody to be a workhorse kind of 3-down back? And he goes, the guys who I trust will play. And I want to see who earns Coach Faulk's trust out the gate and how they do it and what that kind of results in.
Always stacking sense. So basically his broken hand made you doubt him, RK. Is this your first time watching the show?
Yeah.
Because I've literally never doubted Julian Lewis.
Just look, okay. Because we like say something that's like remotely not like praising a guy doesn't mean we're doubting them. Can we just get that clear?
Also,
Please.
Yes. I was talking about things I've heard from other people.
Right.
When it came to watching Julian throw in those two playoff games that people were watching, the one against Buford and the one against whatever the team. Grayson. Because people are like, oh, I don't know, his arm looks kind of weak.
Right.
You know, he looks small. It's like, bro, he's throwing with a broken hand.
Right.
Which says a lot about him in the first place.
Yep.
But now that he's healthy, you're just seeing it, why he has been a prodigy.
Exactly.
One last thing on Marshall Faulk.
I got one more thing too. After you, go ahead.
What if this works?
I expect it to.
I do too. I'm just saying, what are people... There's going to be like a mass panic around college football if this works. Because then Coach Prime's just going to get T.O. to come coach wide receivers.
And again, you said
get Antonio Gates to coach the tight ends.
Bro. You said the other day the proof of concept is in Warren Sapp.
Yes.
He had no coaching experience previously, just like Marshall Faulk doesn't have, and it worked. His unit alongside Damian Lewis led the conference in sacks. And if... We're not going to go as far to say what if Colorado leads the Big 12 in rushing yards this year, but if there is a massive improvement, that is a massive W for this program as well.
No, like the equivalent would be like Colorado rushing for over 150 yards a game, which sounds crazy right now, but that's about middle of the pack. Like if you can hit that, that's dangerous.
Well, the equivalent would be them leading the pack or leading the Big 12 in rushing.
That's just not going to happen.
I'm just saying that's what happened last year.
I know, but like half of that, you know what I'm saying, would be a massive W. And this is something I talked about briefly yesterday, and I thought about it last night when Coach Falk was talking about he wants to, unlock things in these guys and help them improve. Like, if y'all play a game with me here, if y'all could give one of the top 3 running backs a super power, so to speak, on the football field, which one would you do? Michael Welch with blazing speed.
Okay.
Isaiah Augusta with he's an elite pass catcher.
That one.
And route
Like Micah's current self plus a 100 rating on speed and Madden or whatever. Isaiah Augusta, his current self with 100 on route running and catching.
Right.
Dallin with, no offense to anybody with these things, but Dallin with Dallin with 100 in vision and patience.
Yeah.
What would you pick?
The pass catcher. 100%.
You're taking Isaiah
with the pass catching?
He'd be like one of the best backs of the Big 12 immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I'd take Micah with the blazing speed.
I think I would too. Like Michael with like track speed, like Cam Michael speed, like that would be a G code.
I mean,
where did that just come to you at some point?
It really did. Like I said yesterday, I said it yesterday during the show. I'm like, what if Marshall Faulk can unlock, pass catching in Isaiah and top speed potentially in Micah, or help Dallin with this vision. Like that's something that could happen. And it just made me think about what if it did happen? Like what would be the best case scenario of one of those guys picking up, an elite skill that they might maybe not currently have.
We were looking at an old Marshall Faulk game right before we came on the show. And Scotty showed a play where he's lined up behind the quarterback and then kind of motions out to like a split back spot and then just runs a Texas route, one-on-one with the linebacker, and just absolutely embarrasses him.
Yeah.
But was a receiver playing running back? It's crazy.
We use this as a segue then. If I had to pick a bonus spring storyline, it'd be the wide receiving core. Obviously losing your top 4 is going to hurt. That's a lot of production to make up for, but the talent in the room, it's capable of it, I think. What we've seen from the freshmen early so far, particularly Quanell. Quanell Farrakhan looks, he looks like he's been out there 2 years already.
He looks really polished.
Yeah. No, he's going to be a factor in this receiving core. I'd expect him to totally crack the top 5, top 6 in this unit just from what we've seen so far. Quentin Gibson and Adrian Wilson haven't even got going yet. And we know it's really speed. That's their game. But you don't really... You got to get creative, but not too creative to utilize that. You know what I'm saying?
And again, much like I said with McPherson and Merritt getting some extra valuable reps with some of the guys out, you can say the same thing for Quanell and those other... kind of freshman receivers with kind of working his way back and not participating in spring ball right now. Like those are valuable reps with the quarterbacks, that you can really get right now, early on in spring. And again, these guys in particular, and I love that Coach Gunner brought it up yesterday too when I asked him about Chauncey. These guys should literally be in high school right now. Like they should be still doing high school classes, doing whatever seniors in high
getting ready
school
for
do.
prom.
Right, doing whatever seniors in high school do. But they're actually in here around college football players, around the best coaching staff in college football, getting a head start on their college football career. That is invaluable stuff.
I love this comment from Erica who says, Jake with the plan and Scotty darts off with an impromptu survey.
It's crazy.
I mean, I'm not even going to get into it. Anyways, talking about the wide receiver core, let's dig into Drelon Miller on the other side of this break. At some point. Shout out to the homies at Fanstake. New app where you can basically help contribute to the success of Colorado football. Basically what it is, it's an NIL app. You get on there, you pick a player, even a player already on the roster. You can pledge money to someone to try and keep them on the roster. This will be massive for when portal season picks up here basically in about a month too. So make sure you download the app right now. Get in on it early. They're currently offering new fans a free $25 credit, no credit card required or strings attached. And we are encouraging everyone to join in and stake Drelon Miller. If we want to see him reach his full potential, that wide back Deebo Samuel comp, hit up our friends over at Fanstake and put some money on Drelon Miller. Click the link in our description, scan the QR code, or just head to fanstake.com. Use promo code DNVR to help keep Drelon Miller with the Buffs.
And shout out to our homies over at Breck Brew who are running an amazing deal, a giveaway rather, that y'all gotta tap into. Complimentary food and drink on March 29th, right on the glass for Colorado Avalanche versus the St. Louis Blues. All you gotta do is go to breckbrew.com/ice deck to enter. You get, like I said, 2 VIP tickets right on the glass, right on the ice. So go check out as well Breck Brew's new West Coast style IPA, the Ridge Runner. This double dry hop brew is inspired by the untamed beauty of Colorado's trails and creates notes of bright citrus and pine. Y'all already know that we love our Breck Brews over here at DNVR. Like I said the other day, I'm a real fun slinger guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I feel like one
You're
of y'all.
always slinging fun, bro.
Period. You feel me? And did y'all know that all the Breck Brews are made with 100% renewable energy?
Let's go.
Like, we're for the earth over here at Breck Brew and DNVR as well. So check out the beer locator at breckbrew.com to find a brew near you. Shout out Breck Brew.
Before you go any further, I want to jump in here. I wanted to show you guys something that my 10-year-old cousin posted on Instagram yesterday.
Okay.
Alyssa, if you could bring that up. Oh, wait, that's not my 10-year-old cousin. That's Jake. What is this?
Bro.
It's a Fire Mountain Dew truck, bro. What are you talking about?
I swear to God, I saw that today. I'm like, why did he post this? Like,
That's fire.
I'm like, this is so random.
Self-explanatory right there.
3 big ass fire emojis.
I also asked him to go get margaritas, and he's like, I can't. I have to go to work. And then he posted that like an hour later.
Because I drove home, walked to the gas station for stuff so I could write, and then...
These are the things that you saw this and pulled out your big.
He's like, this is it.
I had to.
This is it. This is the things that get my boy Jakey fired up, man. You love it.
That was so funny to me.
Anyway, shout out to Fanstake. Let's plant our stake. It's presented by Fanstake. Stake your favorite player to attend your school. Head to fanstake.com. Download the app. Again, use code DNVR at checkout for a free $25 credit. No credit card required or strings attached to stake your prime athletes.
Who we planting our stake on this week?
Drelon Miller.
Let's go.
Yeah, what I was just saying about 10 minutes ago about the wide receiving core. They have the potential to really, losing your top 4, the talent is still in the room to be an extremely lethal group. We saw glimpses of it last year with Drelon, but I have to imagine, part of what Pat Shurmur talked about on Tuesday about fixing the offense, this has to involve carving out a true role for Drelon Miller to really cash in on his abilities.
I think he has to be a featured part of this offense. And I think Shurmur kind of alluded to it when we talked to him this week, where he was like, it's fun to design things for a Travis Hunter and a LeJontay Wester, you know what I'm saying? But you're going to have to get creative. Gooning is crazy. I'm dead. My boy got excited. But you're going to have to get creative with Drelon Miller because, again, like, he should be featured in this offense in multiple different ways because he has a versatile skill set. Like, we actually came across the the video clip from his senior year at Silsbee where
Yeah.
he literally did the whole team dirty on a single play. Like, if you stop the play midway through, you're like, there's no way he scores a touchdown on this
Gain of
play.
2.
Get right at most. And he makes everybody miss, splits the defense, finds the end zone. Like, that's the type of capability that this young man has. We saw it against Utah. I mean, that's one of the plays of the season for me last year. His touchdown catch and run against Utah. I mean, sunning some of those defensive backs of the Utes. Like, and he had a touchdown in 2 of his last 3 regular season games as well. So kind of similar to what I've talked about Joseph Williams kind of ascending near the end of their true freshman season. Drelon kind of did the same thing. And again, Julian Lewis as well kind of mentioned him impromptu when we talked to him earlier this week. Like, yeah, Drelon he's kind of the guy right now. You know what I'm saying? Especially with Amari and Miller out, throughout this spring. Like, Drelon is, I think, going to be the featured guy on offense aside from the quarterbacks this year.
And I don't think we talk about this enough, but I mean, go back to when Julian visited, over the last year or so. He's hanging out with Drelon and Cam.
Yeah, true.
And there's the throw from Tuesday where it's just a slant, but like he dots Cam Michael right in the hands in stride. Like, can you imagine in the open field? He's just gone. So the chemistry that those two have, not only off the field but on the field, I think is going to be massive for this year and the future of this program.
I can't believe I'm bringing up this term because I've gotten so sick of it on the other show that I do. But
Not the J word.
yeah, the J word.
Oh no.
Sean Payton talks a lot about the Joker.
Yep.
Actually, he doesn't talk a lot about it. Sean Payton said it once, and the media talks a lot about the Joker role, which to me just means a mismatch guy. He's basically said it's mostly a tight end or a running back, but I guess even Drelon can count as a running back sometimes.
Yeah.
There's certain players that you have on your team that no one is the right matchup for. Your linebacker's too slow. Your safety can't cut fast enough. Your corner's too small. And Drelon can be that guy. And that's what's exciting for me. And it should be super exciting for Pat Shurmur to say, like, now that we have him and he's fully developed going into his second year and he's not kind of fresh out on the field.
Right.
There's no limit to what we can do to try to get Drelon in advantageous positions.
And it says a lot about him that he was able to be on the field for this team right away in week 1 as a true freshman. Like, that shows his ability to quickly grasp the playbook and what Pat Shurmur wants to do offensively. And I just want to see him more involved. 4 carries, I feel like that should be the floor for him, obviously, this past season. I want to see that more like 20 plus. And again, you talk about a mismatch problem, like, in a lot of cases, he is too big and physical for corners and safeties, and he is too quick and agile and shifty for linebackers. I would love to see him just do the route that we saw Marshall Faulk ran, in 2000. Like, that's him.
Yep.
That's Drelon Miller. And I think also, too, Marshall Faulk could potentially unlock some things in Drelon. You know what I'm saying? In terms of being more versatile, maybe lining up more in the backfield in the true running back role. Like, everything's in front of him and them in terms of possibilities. They
ran a play last year that I think they only ran once, and it was so good that I wish.
Harge?
No.
Okay.
It was Drelon, and I think it was in the Kansas State game, but it might have been the Baylor game. I just know it was a night game at Folsom in the middle of the season. Drelon lined up in the backfield and went in a dead sprint like he was going to just run a fly route. And as soon as the linebacker started to turn and run with him, he just turned right around, caught the ball at like 7-8 yards, turned back around, gained a couple more yards, and it was an easy first down.
Easy.
And I was like, man, they got to do this more. They got to use Drelon in those roles, and you do kind of have to hand the ball off to him a bit if you're gonna make him be that dual threat coming out of the backfield. But at the same time, what's the defense going to do? Are they going to send a corner into the middle of the field to go defend him out of the backfield? Like, no, they aren't. So you're going to be able to get advantageous matchups with him by doing that. And I loved just capitalizing on fear on that play. We probably could burn him to go deep. Let's just get an easy 10 because we know that linebacker is going to freak out when he sees you coming out of there in a full sprint.
And again, with Drelon, 10 could be 80.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like we saw, like he could break 1, 2, 3, 4 tackles and he's off to the races. So this is gonna be a fun group led by, I believe, Drelon Miller. And I think at one point we're gonna have a shirt. We're gonna have to have a DNVR shirt. Owen Dre. Miller time. after both of them go for 100+ in a game.
Yeah, like that.
I think it's going to happen.
That was Plant Your Steak presented by Fanstake. A couple more things to hit on today's show. Get your questions in now. 13 Colorado Buffaloes are going to be participating in next week's Big 12 Pro Day out in Frisco, Texas at the Star. Of course, Shador and Travis, but BJ Green, Justin Mayers, Chidozie Nwankwo, Jimmy Horn Jr., Travis J., Shiloh Sanders, Will Shepard, Cameron Silman Craig, Herman Smith III, LeJontay Wester, and shout out mate, Mark Vassett.
Mate.
I think these guys are going to take over. Obviously, Travis and Shador are out there, and I don't know. We'll see if they do anything. But
Yeah.
this group, particularly the wide receivers, because it's like everywhere they go, they become the talk of whatever it is they're doing. Scadaboo is going to be out there. There are some big-time Big 12 prospects, but these wide receivers are different.
I'm going to be for sure tapped into defensive linemen as well. I want to see BJ and the block bully dominate one-on-one, something that we know that they're capable of doing. I think BJ Green is being slept on throughout this draft process. Like, this is somebody who had 7.5 sacks this year. This is somebody who led Arizona State in sacks before even coming to Colorado. Like, this is a real ball player right here. And again, a position that's premium in the NFL, edge rusher. If you can get to the quarterback on the ground, you're going to have a spot in the NFL. And the things that block bully does on the football field as well, like, there is going to be an NFL team that has a spot for him and what he does. You know what I'm saying? A hole clogging, just beating up on centers and making their lives a living hell for 3 hours on a given Sunday is what the block bully does. And he's going to have a role in the NFL, both of those guys. I'm excited to see them perform next week.
I kind of see a little bit of Jonathan Cooper in BJ Green.
I can see that.
You see that, Jake?
He's
He's a little bit taller, but
right.
just the way that he plays on the edge.
Definitely.
And Jonathan Cooper, I believe, is a 7th-round pick, maybe 6th.
He was. Yeah.
So I could see him paving a way for himself like that. I think he had 5.5 sacks last year. Like, he's come along for the Broncos.
Also, I'm just betting on BJ Green just because of the walk-on mentality. Dude had to walk his way on to ASU.
Yeah.
He's earned everything he's gotten so far in college football, man. I think he totally understands what's going to take to not only hang on at NFL minicamps this summer and stuff, but to make it to training camp and potentially make a roster because he's very talented, obviously.
Yep.
No doubt.
And I also think block bully is just being completely slept on.
I mean, Poona Ford, he was, this was, 4 or 5 years ago when he was going through the draft. He's coming out of Texas, and he was like, kind of like Chidozie, like 6 foot, 300-some pounds, like technically short for the position. But, Poona Ford, he's gotten paid a few times, I think, at least. But he's sticking around just because of how hard he is to manage.
And you have to think, too, from these NFL scouts' perspective, having been coached by Warren Sapp should add at least 1%, right, to to the scouting part of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, that has to mean something that you were coached for an entire season by one of the best at that position to ever do it in the NFL. So that's another feather in the cap as well, I feel like, for him and BJ.
Most definitely. Field Yates from ESPN. We know he's a big fan of Shador and Travis. He was early on him too. He made that tweet during the TCU game. What did he say? These are 2 top 5 draft picks or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Or I think he actually said they could go 1 and 2 in the draft.
That's what he said on our show.
Right. So and then he doubled down after the season on our show, and then he puts together this mock top 10. He's still got Cam Ward going 1 to Tennessee, but he's got Travis at 2 to Cleveland, and then Shador going at number 3 to the New York Giants.
No complaints here.
Is this how it's actually going to shape out?
If I was a Titans fan, I'd be complaining. But
I think Travis and Shador will be flipped. I still think Shador goes 2nd to Cleveland, and Travis will team up with Malik Neighbors in New York at number 3. That's what I think happens, but
who's going to be their quarterback?
Kenny
looks like
Pickett,
an old guy. Nah, on the Giants.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Cleveland. Sorry.
It's going to be old guy. Either Russ or Rodgers, unfortunately.
I don't wish that upon Travis.
Me either.
Just draft Shador.
But yeah, I think at this point, Shador, like I said, I said it. Shador's going to Cleveland in my mind. And if he doesn't, like, the furthest he falls is 3 to the Giants. That's how it goes. And anybody saying otherwise, I think is going to look really silly here in about a month and a half.
You're starting to hear people talk about the second round.
Yes.
There's no chance, bro.
Crazy.
All right, the portal is picking up. I don't know what happened or why, but 2 notable Wyoming players have entered the portal in the last 2 days.
That wind started picking up in Cheyenne or Laramie, and they were like, I got to get out of here.
I guess so, man. But these are 2 positions of, I guess, need for the Buffs.
Okay.
Starting off with Harrison Whaley. He plays running back for the Cowboys. Had a good year 2 years ago, actually, in 23 and 22. Must have got hurt or something. He only had 63 carries this last year for 323 yards. But he ran for 900 yards in 22 and 947 in 2023. 5 touchdowns in each of those years, listed at 5'10", 212 pounds. And then Sebastian Harsh, he plays edge. Played in all 12 games with 8 starts for the Cowboys last year. Listed at 6'3", 236. Had 40 combined tackles, 9 TFLs, 1.5 sacks last season. Had 3 sacks in 2023.
I think it's a bit harsh to call that a position of need for the Buffs.
I mean, with what Scotty was saying right now at this point, if you have 2 guys hurt, it kind of exposes the depth a bit, obviously. But you're down to freshmen already if you have 2 guys hurt on the edge room.
All right, fair enough. I just wanted to say harsh.
I think they for sure had 1 edge rusher out of the portal in the spring.
I think so, too. Tennessee State transfer linebacker Sanders Ellis has also entered the portal. He's already drawing big interest from the ACC, Big Ten, and SEC, particularly Auburn, Virginia Tech, and Purdue. He's also been in contact with Penn State, SMU, and Indiana. But listed at 6 foot, 225 pounds, 86 tackles, 15.5 TFLs, 2.5 sacks last year for Tennessee State.
He was a finalist for the Jerry Rice Award, given to the top freshman in FCS. And again, those stats you just rattled off, he did that as a true freshman.
You know who else
at
won
Tennessee
that award?
State. Who?
Shador Sanders.
That's, wow. So crazy. Jerry Rice Award winner. That's fire. And yeah, obviously Sanders and Ellis there is into the portal because Tennessee State's head coach, Eddie George, is headed to Bowling Green.
Oh, yeah.
And Eddie George recently here gave a lot of credit to Coach Prime for, Eddie getting into the coaching ranks, obviously at Tennessee State, now obviously moving on to Bowling Green. So that was cool that those two still have a relationship and they're able to kind of help each other out as they kind of navigate the coaching ranks.
Eddie George has built himself some sort of reputation early in the coaching ranks.
Yeah.
Straight up. Was interviewed by your Bears, I think, this offseason.
Interviewed by the Bears, already elevating to Bowling Green. He's going to be a Power 5 head coach very, very soon.
I can see it.
Seems like it.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it was at a big place. Did he go to Ohio State?
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Pretty sure.
Maybe he's on the radar there.
Nah, they extended Ryan Day. They did the right thing. Last thing I got, we had a visitor earlier this week. 2026 interior offensive lineman Derek Warden from Queen Creek, Arizona, took a visit. Not really ranked. Doesn't really have a ton of, I guess, national recruiting momentum, but in this area of the country, the kind of the mountain area, he's gathered offers from all the Power 5 schools around here, Arizona, Boise State, CU, and of course he came on a visit as well. 6'6", 268 pounds from Queen Creek, Arizona. Keep an eye out.
Okay.
Okay. That's all I got. How about this, actually? John Snelson tweeted this out yesterday. We're about to revamp and go crazy on the Colorado Football YouTube channel. You'll want to subscribe. What do you think's coming?
I love that because the thumbnail, the photo that was accompanied with that, like that didn't seem like no typical. I mean, it was sitting his payback. You feel me?
Yes.
So like, and it seemed like it was going to be like some typical football content that we see from Snelson and his crew. So I'm excited if we get like some real like behind the scenes, like that would be cool.
It's got to be like well-off influence, right?
That's what it seemed like.
That's what I would assume.
That's what it seemed like. Should be cool because Snells is super talented, man. Shout out our guy John.
Of course.
He does a great job.
I'm stoked for him.
I guess last thing. There is practice tomorrow. Media is not invited to this. There's no media availability, so we're going to be watching well off like the rest of y'all, but there is a practice tomorrow. So,
All right.
that's it. To the Toyota chat we go. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Jed Des asked, did Khalil Benson hit the portal? Yes, he went back to Indiana. Ivan, what unit will be the most improved for the Buffs next season, the running back or special teams room?
Running back.
Special teams got a lot of room to grow too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bug Buchanan he gonna do some damage.
Straight up. If they just tackle on kickoff.
They're not going to have
Honestly. Let's hope, but punt return too. Or punt team, I should say.
Yeah.
If Buck Buchanan has less touchbacks as the kicker at Colorado, I'm launching an investigation.
I think overall for the team, though, I would say most improved. I think he's going to be offensive line.
I think I agree with that, Scotty. Eric asked early on, do you see anyone going up or down the depth chart already in spring, or is it too early? Also, okay, first off, I do think it is too early.
There's only been 2 practices.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who has been your favorite presser to hear from so far? It's got to be Falk, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was
Pecco was
awesome.
great,
but
too.
I was going to say, I could listen to Domatop Pecco talk all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Falk was great. I mean, some of the stories he shared, were awesome. But something about Gunner, bro, I don't know. Something about Gunner and up there talking to us resonated with me. And I see why he is quickly risen in the ranks underneath Coach Prime, starting off as a damn equipment analyst or, equipment manager at Jackson State, being a position coach at a Power 4 program. I see how he ascended.
Speaking of Coach Gunner, y'all are some snitches, man.
Why?
I'll take blame for that. I'll take blame for that. I ain't gonna lie.
What happened?
Because yesterday I said there's a person in this office who doesn't
Oh,
believe.
yeah, that was him, bro.
That was me for
And
sure.
then I go up there today, and that person's like, I heard you were sneak dissing.
Oh God, that's literally what I told him. I was like, that's why R-Key sneaked this show ass on the show
I was
yesterday.
like, no, I was protecting your ass.
That was all Scotty.
That was definitely me for sure.
I'll shout out Coach Hilo as well.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. We saw it a bit in our shows when he came on the pregame shows last year. He just knows so much about the game that I just wish every question he got asked was like a football question, just so we could talk and wax poetically about that.
Fair. Well, we're going to get plenty of opportunities to do that on some pregame shows this year.
I'm sure.
Somebody yesterday on Twitter called them halftime Hilo, and that is fire.
That is fire. My new dream lineup for a pregame show or just any show that we do is to have both fire and ice on at the same time.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be fun.
Warren Sapp and
Definitely.
Domatop Pecco. Speaking of, we had Benny Fowler on the Broncos pod today.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I heard Domatop's up in Boulder. Like, I loved having him as a teammate.
That's dope.
It's great.
He shouted out, basically, someone asked him about, just coming back to Colorado because of that and his links to that Broncos team. And yeah, man. Eric asks, when is Coach Prime going to speak? I do not know.
You think we know?
Wish I could tell you. RMD, who's getting #1 this season? It sounds like Drelon's the one who really wants it.
We talked about it today. Drelon. I think that's all signs point to that young man. It's what he wore in high school, and obviously he still has a affinity for that number.
I'm in on the
fits.
go back to what you were in high school thing.
Moni asks, when is CU Pro Day? Go check out LeJontay Wester's latest tweet.
Good answer.
Necesita, did y'all see Travis was the first to win the Muhammad Ali Award? Yes, we did talk about that. Shout out to Travis. First ever Muhammad Ali Award. Like the Young Goat Award or something?
Emerging GOAT.
That's what it is. Yes.
Fire.
Emerging goat.
Super chats. Bennett says, how would you feel about CU football bringing in private equity? If the CU Board of Regents is open-minded, it could be an interesting way to capitalize on the Coach Prime brand and bring in funding for NIL.
No, I don't think enough. We're qualified to talk about that.
I was gonna say I'm not even finna pretend like I know what
Yes.
that all means. So
I don't know.
It's a. I don't know how it would work in college football.
yeah,
The slippery slope too. Also, the revenue sharing starts like 3 months or something
Yep.
too. So,
appreciate the super chat, Bennett.
Don Peasy, what's up, man? Just
Peasy.
stopping my work day to say what's up and great show as usual. Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Shout out Peasy.
Shout out Don Peasy.
And for all y'all watching right now, make sure if you aren't already, make sure you become a DNVR diehard. We're running the sale right now. Damn near 50% off. Only $36 for the rest of the year. You can get all of our exclusive written content.
Not
You
even
get
for the rest
some-
of the year. $36 for
For
your
a year.
first year.
For your first year. Oh, that's come on. You get a free shirt. You get all of the perks that come with the DNVR bar. And again, all of our exclusive written content from Jake and I, the rest of the DNVR, squad covering the Buffs, obviously the Nuggets, Avs,
Broncos
everybody.
are killing it for free agency on there. too. Go
100%
check it out.
Broncos as well. So make sure you become a diehard. It really supports us. And you get a bunch of dope perks as well. So make sure you tap in with us and become a diehard.
Facts. It's a great way to support us.
Got about a minute and a half, guys.
You guys got any plans this weekend?
I've got friends coming to town. We're going to a concert. I'm hyped about that.
All right. What
Who you
is
seeing?
it?
We're going to see Counterparts, bro.
Ah,
way.
Yeah,
damn.
I know.
I'm not a big fan of their new stuff, but I think their old
Yes,
stuff was
their old
great.
stuff used
Oh,
to hit
straight
for
up.
sure.
Which
dude.
album's your favorite, bro?
Probably that first one they dropped probably was.
Yeah, the self-titled.
Yes.
That's not the self-titled. They don't have a self-titled.
Give me
I
a
put it right up there with Cardi's new album.
yeah, bro. Give me a comp, bro.
A comp? I mean, it's melodic hardcore. I don't know what kind of
Melodic
comp you want.
hardcore. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've ever heard of that genre.
I'm not surprised, Scotty. Shout out Counterparts, though.
I'm getting new golf clubs tomorrow.
Nice.
Go crazy.
I'm so excited.
Hell yeah.
That's like people talk about retail therapy.
Yeah.
That's the most concentrated version of retail therapy is new golf clubs. Like it's just like straight intravenous dopamine.
Intravenous. Love that
Breaking
word.
out the thesaurus today, huh?
Wait, Cornhole, he said sheesh.
Do y'all
that
watch? Huh?
Where's the concert at?
Summit Music Hall, I think?
Okay, yeah. Right
It's
downtown.
downtown.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you guys watch Severance?
No.
Heard of it though.
You should. It's a good
All right.
show.
What's it on?
Apple TV.
Okay.
I might tap in.
Might have to.
It's a good watch.
What genre is that?
Give me a comp.
I don't know. Ben Stiller is like one of the writers for it, actually.
So comedy?
No, it's actually not a comedy. It's kind of like damn, I don't even know. I actually had to do this the other day, trying to describe it to a friend, and it's so hard to describe. It's basically like if you cut your work life and personal life into two separate people.
I've heard about this.
Yeah.
Sci-fi.
Kinda, yeah. I guess sci-fi is probably the-
Melodic sci-fi.
See you guys Mondays. Go Buffs.
Go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.